The Alliance Party leader Naomi Long has told the BBC's new Borderlands podcast that Hilary Benn needs to set out the conditions he would use to decide whether to call a border poll. A referendum must be called when the Secretary of State believes there is support for a united Ireland in Northern Ireland. But with the growth of a political middle ground here, that's become more difficult to judge. Chris Buckler has been sounding out a group of political persuadables to see what really matters to them in any debate about a border poll.
Meet the middle ground. Voters who see themselves as somewhere in the centre of Northern Ireland's traditional divides. And they're all here because they say they're at least up for a conversation about what would be in the best interests of Northern Ireland if there was to be a referendum on a united Ireland. These are the very valuable political persuadables. Is it fair to describe you all as constitutionally curious? Are you open to that debate about a border poll?
I have no issue with the idea of having a border poll. I just don't want another Brexit situation where we vote on something that we don't actually know any truth about.
There's a lot of people nodding here.
So, we need to know exactly what we're voting for.
So when it comes to you centre ground people, I'm very aware that the one thing that you don't necessarily like is flags. But that's exactly what we're going to do. So I'll be interested to see how the reaction, because we do have the British flag and the Irish flag. This is not going to be scientific in any way, but it just is going to give us an idea of how you feel about some of these subjects and what you think would be better for the future of Northern Ireland, being a part of the UK or being a part of a united Ireland. On the question of the economy going forward for the next 10 or 20 years, which do you think would be in Northern Ireland's better interests? Being part of united Ireland or remaining part of the UK? Going to ask you to move and go in which direction you think it should be. Many refuse to stray from the middle ground and stand behind a flag. But on the issue of the economy, the swing among this small, unscientific and randomly selected group was towards a united Ireland.
I know we've already mentioned Brexit many times. To me, that's the defining issue. Being part of the European Union, being part of a united, connected, cooperating group of countries working together, or being part of this isolationist, ourselves alone kind of mentality. Another interesting phrase. That's the difference.
We are being governed by people in London, which is obviously, it's a different Ireland to us. We're being governed by people that don't really care about us over here. I feel like if we were part of a whole Ireland...
Don't really care?
Obviously, yeah, they don't really care. And it's obviously, being a part of a whole Ireland, I think it would take a lot to get there, but I feel like it would represent us whole if we're all together.
Even though I come from London, that we're a bit of a nuisance, and they could do without us.
Welcome, sister.
Yeah.
I want to go over to the Union flag. There were three of you there. Somebody's left. Who's gone? Who's gone? Somebody's abandoned you, wasn't there?
Somebody abandoned us, yeah. Yes.
But actually, this really says something about how people feel about the UK economy.
At the minute, though, I look at Stormont, I think we run off a deficit of about $3 billion a year, which is obviously covered by Westminster. Would the Irish government be willing to cover the $3 billion?
And how Northern Ireland's public services would be funded would be a big issue in any border poll. On the issue of healthcare, do you think it is better being a part of the UK or united Ireland? Oh, this is already different. What a difference the NHS makes, because a lot of you people who were over with the economy thinking that it would be a united Ireland were better for the economy going forward. There's a huge number of you who have now come over.
I've always felt Irish, but one of the only times I ever feel like proud to be from Northern Ireland as compared to anywhere else, is that I get free healthcare.
Our current system in Northern Ireland is broken. Our waiting lists are horrendous. I have a daughter who's 3 years into a waiting list for a simple ear closure. I've been through it through maternity services. I've been through it watching my mum die of cancer. Things are far from perfect, but there's just something fundamental about a free health service.
On the issue of the cost of living, there was a definite advantage for the UK. Why do you think that?
I've been to Dublin. I've seen the price of stuff. My mum used to live in Dublin. I know it's a lot more expensive for travel, for just even milk, bread. I just know the cost of living is more expensive.
But on the issue of rights and human rights, the swing among this group was towards a united Ireland.
Especially in the United Kingdom and England at the minute, how they're treating protesters, whether it's anti-immigration or pro-Palestine, you are being arrested for anything, and I think that's wrong. We need to protect our right to protest.
The final question is the one that you know I'm going to ask you. If you were voting for United Kingdom or a United Ireland, how would you vote?
I don't think we can answer that question at the moment because we need to know the facts, the truths about what the Constitution, all the questions you asked earlier, how would they be dealt with?
People need a comprehensive plan presented to them that they can then answer.
We can't have another Brexit situation where we're voting on shock statements.
And if a border poll is held, as I've said before, we are the people that will make that decision because 1/3 of the population will vote one way no matter what the argument is, and 1/3 of the population will vote the other way no matter what the arguments are. So it needs to be made very, very clear what we're voting for.
And that discussion places this group right at the centre of any upcoming debate about a border poll.
Chris Buckler there, and there's a longer version of that Middle Ground feature on the BBC News NI channel on YouTube. And the latest episode of the Borderland podcast is now available on BBC Sounds or wherever you get your podcasts.